Hi, welcome to the Coaching Game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and tonight my guest is Jayne Jenkins. Hey, Jayne.
Hi, Laurie. How are you?
We just recently were introduced, and we were talking about, maybe in the future we can have a show, and then bang, here Jayne is in New York City, and it's like, all right, let's do a show now. So welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
I am too. Let me tell you a little bit about the game. This is a game that was developed by two, I'm going to refer to them as geniuses in Israel. It's a game to bring left brain and right brain thinking together. And it's a series of cards and all kinds of really great things. And so that's what this is kind of based on. We want to get some innovative ideas. And I asked Jayne to pick out some cards, and she's got a bunch. So we'll see what the story is. But first, I want to know about you, Jayne. How did you get into coaching? Nobody's ever born a coach. So maybe in 25, 30 years from now, we'll go, okay, that's it. But right now, the coaches are always people who got into it from something else. So how did you get in?
Yeah, great question. So it was a very long time ago, close to 20 years. I was in the corporate world in pharmaceuticals, and they believed back then that all of their leaders should be great coaches, so that we could make the most of the people on our team, empower the talent. So I learned coaching 101 back then. And then about 7 years ago, when I left the corporate world and started the Churchill Leadership Group, I went on to do my more in-depth certifications, such as the ICF certification, of which now I'm PCC, and multiple other certifications. So it's an ongoing journey of coaching. I learn every day.
Well, tell us, what is the Churchill Leadership Group? And where did that name come from? Because I immediately think of Churchill Downs.
Well, it's another. Yes. I actually grew up in a family of bookies and Churchill Downs, so I never thought of that one. But so when I started the company 7 years ago, I didn't want it to be about Jayne. I wanted to take all of that corporate, different experience in different departments and my leadership learning could I create a company? Back then I knew nothing, right, in terms of building a small company, which is very different than being part of a corporation. But that was my goal, my vision, and wanted to bring in lots of coaches that could deliver to the corporate and the government world. So what Churchill is, it's over 80 executive coaches and strengths coaches around the world, and we service the corporate world. Primarily, a lot of our clients are in technology, finance, and healthcare, and we help them deliver 4 things. Organizational level development. So we're working with the whole organization. That might be culture improvement, becoming a strengths-based organization, leader as great coach type of programs. Then there's a leadership development where it's more one-on-one executive coaching, workshops, assessments, 360s. And then team effectiveness is the third thing. So we're helping teams go from good to great, or more dysfunctional teams get back on track,
right up there,
right?
Yeah.
And the fourth one is using assessments and strategies to help companies improve their engagement. So organizational, leadership, team, and engagement are the 4 areas we work in.
Wow. And your philosophy is to create strength-based organizations, which I found fascinating. It's like, what does that mean?
Right. So a strengths-based organization is an organization that truly has built a strengths approach throughout its culture, throughout the fiber it's being. So many conversations between a manager and employee would incorporate the employee's strengths around how did you use your strengths to be successful, how can you use your strengths to achieve this goal, in performance reviews, in putting together project teams, in celebrating success, in development plans, and we grow most in areas of strength. So it's really embedded in everything that we do. And what we believe in at Churchill, my fundamental belief from my experience is when people focus on their strengths, their motivation level, their ability to be the true individual that they're meant to be the most authentic, best of themselves, is what really comes out. So all the research on it is from the Gallup organization, and we're certified coaches with Gallup. And so we use the Strengths Finder tool.
Everybody in your group, all 80 people are certified?
I'm going to say about 60 are certified.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
Not every one of the others, but a lot of the others have been using Strengths Finder for years with clients. Or they might use things like the Enneagram or Standout, which is the Marcus Buckingham version. I'm certified in that as well. So there are a variety of strengths assessments. The predominantly well-known one is Strengths Finder that we use.
Okay.
Yeah, so even in executive coaching, we'll start with that, as well as a 360 to help a leader understand their strengths. And simply because you can use your strengths to grow. You grow most in areas where you have natural talent. So why not leverage it? Only about 20% of us do every day, so there's a lot of opportunity there.
You have some amazing statistics on there. I think what 17% of workers say that they use their strengths, and I don't know what happens to the other 83, but I guess they don't.
Yeah, when Marcus Buckingham did the work, it wasn't like the other 80+% never use their strengths. They just don't feel at work they have the opportunity to do it every day. So the question very much goes to the employee, and the employee could be at any level. It's not going to the manager. Hey, does Laurie use her strengths every day? It's the employee being asked. And so very few employees really have the opportunity. And the question is why, right? So what comes to mind for you, Laurie, when you think, why is that number so low? What comes to mind for
I
you?
don't know. I know when I was sort of in that world, I had a group of 10 people, and my management style is, here's your project, here's your date, go for it. It worked with 9 out of the 10 people, and they blossomed, and it was like, oh boy, lesson for me.
Yeah.
I think managers feel the responsibility of the project or the goal and they want to be on top of it. So they micromanage, and that just, yeah, right, and it doesn't give you a chance to
do it your way.
Yeah, and so what is the answer, Jayne? You're the expert.
Yeah, it's a great question. Very often if I'm in a big group of leaders, people leaders, I'll ask, who hates to be micromanaged? And everyone's hand goes up. And they're like, so who in here micromanages? I'm like, no one's. I'm like, so who's doing all this micromanaging? Yeah, I think there are a lot of reasons that leaders get into the weeds. Part of it is they don't know what they don't know. The training isn't there. Part of it is a fear of can they do it, or that the ego gets in the way and it needs to be done my way. And you're not really giving the space to allow that individual to really blossom and grow. And a leader's role is to grow leaders and to really bring out the best of their people.
That's so simple. A leader's role is to grow leaders. Okay.
We do a lot of John Maxwell work, and that quote, credit to him. And so StrengthsFinder, the assessment, which is just one step of probably 100 things you can do, is to enable you to understand your leader better, your team members better as individuals, and where their natural talents lie and how they then can be applied to their job, and how team members can lean on each other to collaborate and work in groups, how you as a leader, by understanding your strengths, can become a better leader in a style that's most effective for you, and how you can have more productive conversations, because I understand you better, you understand me better, and we'll do the type of work that helps us thrive.
Interesting, because I recently had a client who he could not understand the message he was getting from his new supervisor, and we finally figured out that the new supervisor was really in awe of everything that he knew and really wanted to keep that down until she caught up to him, and it was, and she was giving him all this responsibility and then beating him down. It's like, come on.
I know. Really? Like on paper, why would you ever do that?
Seriously.
We see it all the time, that the manager gets scared of, like, my people will be better than me, and that's, we're no longer the subject matter experts when you become in a leadership role. It's not about you anymore, it's about your team. So the more you can understand your team and do your job, which is to enable them to be incredibly productive, highly engaged, and grow.
And make you look good,
That's right. That's the after effect that is so great for leaders, is their team thrive, then they are very successful.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that gosh, I don't know. I guess companies, we'll use companies, what are some of the biggest challenges that companies face today? I know what employees face, but it's like, what do companies face?
Yeah, that's like a $1 million question. So in a strengths perspective, if I just start there, if that's okay, Laurie?
Sure.
A lot of companies or divisions or teams within companies will do StrengthsFinder, and I'll speak to them like, oh my goodness, I love StrengthsFinder, brilliant, what do you love about it? What are your top 5? I think, right? So they do the assessment maybe in a half-day workshop or a off-site, but they do nothing more. So they're nowhere near strengths-based. They're step 1 of 100. And so they struggle to implement it. So that's one challenge that companies have. And so that's where we come in. The goal is to help them make it practical and learn how to apply it, not to do something extra and more work, but to really weave it in to the fiber of who they are so they can perform better. And companies do.
I love that. Do you have a time limit for that?
We have a 3-year program, which
oh
starts.
my gosh, I love that.
It's a roadmap. We have coaches that do that. The first year is very much focused on leaders, so they're really good at it first, and they can role model and enable this positive change. And then the second year becomes more about helping them improve engagement, and then taking strengths to their team. And the third year is about enabling that division or the organization to become empowered that they don't need us. And we build experts and expertise inside so we can walk away and help them with other things.
I love that, because so many times an organization will come in and do, no dissing on Meyer-Briggs, but that, and then it's like, okay, unless the employee agrees to wear all that stuff on their head, I'm an SQ, whatever, I'm not going to remember it, and you're not going to remember me. So how do you use this in an everyday manner? That's brilliant. And
you bring up a great point. What gets hidden on your computer gets forgotten.
Yes.
So I was just with a client this morning about the visibility of having strengths, everything from team reports showing their strengths in their team meeting rooms, to their top 5 or their top 10 on their door of their office, to wearing T-shirts on a Strengths Friday. You can get super creative. If you saw my computer, my top 5 are on the back of my laptop, so it enables a conversation every time I sit with my computer and chat with someone. And it's positive conversation about what's right with you, and those conversations don't happen. But the reason we do it, and I'm a very practical person, which is why we want to apply it, companies that focus on strengths and use their strengths every day are a lot more engaged, a lot more productive, and a lot more profitable.
Wow.
That's the bottom line reason.
Oh, absolutely. And so so you really will make a 3-year commitment to a company.
Well, we'll make it to them, they'll make it to us. More importantly, they make it to their people. Now, some companies don't want to jump in and do 3 years. That seems a lot for them. But once they start on the journey and see the advantages, they're like, okay, what's next? What's next? And so it does become a longer journey. Some companies may not have the budget, or they have a lot of change going on, so they may want to do a 1-year version, and we can do a 1-year version. So a 3-year is a best practice, and then we tailor it, and we make it feel specific for that company in terms of the case studies and the experiential blended learning, the goal focus, so it becomes and feels like that company. So it's all tailored. Think of it as 80% built, and then it's tailored to the need of the client.
Perfect. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice slant on assessments, because I think assessments are great, and if you can retain it, that's even better. But if not,
you've got to use it, right?
Exactly.
I certified not long ago on something called ProSci, which is change management, and I have to keep things simple because I forget. And I learned something called ADKAR, which really is, it taught me organization when they want to make a change at an organizational level. The reality is it just still happens one person at a time. But you hope that happens a lot of people every day.
Right.
And it starts in a very specific order, one person at a time, and the first level is awareness. That's the A. The D is desire for the change, understanding why and wanting to make the change. And the K is knowing the how to. So just those 3 of ADKAR. Awareness, you can take the assessment, you can know why Strengths Finder, but if you really don't have a desire to make a change, new habits, and know how to, and then do it in a very consistent way, the change doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
Makes sense, right?
I know. Once when most brilliant things to me are like, why did I not think of that?
Some smart person thought of that.
Yeah, what's up with that? So what else do we need to know? You were talking about an exciting client that you have right now, right?
Yeah, because it might be a transition from what you just asked me, or what are some other things that companies struggle with. And I think one thing any team or company continues to struggle with at all levels is having trust, really high trust at all levels.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's the foundation of great teams, great relationships, and culture really is the result of the type of conversations that go on, how it feels to be in this organization or this division or this team. And those conversations create a type of relationship which creates engagement and the extra effort people want to put in, discretionary effort above and beyond, and that creates a result. So really, our conversations create the relationships, and those relationships create the culture. So trust happens between people. And so trust is a big part of culture, and when trust isn't there, things happen like we don't make decisions. Because I'm worried if I make a decision and I'm wrong, my manager won't be happy, and last time I had that, it didn't go well. right? So then it impacts our ability to make effective decisions, speedy decisions in the world we live in, where it's a lot of ambiguity and there's a lot of moving parts, and that makes decision making harder. So things like trust, decision making, the ability to take risk. What are some of the other things we see? The ability to build courage. All right, it's all connected to risk. So these are some of the things we see.
Build courage for the employee or the leader or
at
the
all
middle
levels.
management?
At all
Everywhere.
levels, yeah.
Everywhere.
For me to want to make tough decisions or decisions where I don't have all the information and take a risk, that takes courage. That takes me to overcome a fear. And we've all got them, right? We've all got fears of some type. And so we see a lot of solutions now in companies like Churchill Leadership Group that involve the neuroscience. Because the more, particularly at the executive level, we understand the science of what goes on in the brain, what triggers our fight, flight, amygdala, versus where we hold memories. Like, I took a risk last time, and memory tells me that wasn't good, not going there.
Let me ask you something. How much of the aftermath of 2008, when everything crashed and everybody got downsized and laid off, because I changed my coaching niche then because I was HR and people were either losing their jobs or afraid they were going to. How much are you dealing with that still?
Yeah, it's a great question. I can't remember the last time it came up in conversation.
Paranoia? Really?
So, I don't know, it seems such a long time ago now, but time moves so fast. It does, right? You say 10 years, that's a long time. When I think from a personal perspective, I was talking to someone the other day and they're like, oh, we're due for another crash soon. I'm like, my initial is like, oh, stop scaremongering, right? Fear factor. But in reality, I think anyone that knows finance, there are cycles like this. And so I think those fears are real in people as a whole person when you think from your own personal investments, right? But then that also plays out at a corporate level. I'm sure people high up in corporate, the CFO, their teams are thinking about what's going to actually happen in the market. Do we invest a lot? Don't we invest a lot? And certainly for small businesses, including Churchill.
I'm thinking the White House is a prime example of like, whoa,
right.
I'm not sure there are safe jobs anymore where the ones you would nothing is safe.
100%.
So do you take that into consideration?
I don't think it comes up so much from a financial safety in coaching. And obviously we have many coaches out there working with clients, and I speak to many of the coaches, so some of it I'm hearing secondhand as well as speaking to clients myself. What I think is definitely very transparent when you coach people is, and that's the whole point of the intimacy and the high trust of the coaching relationship, is real fear surface, right? I know I need to do this, but I'm not doing it, or I need to do more of this. And then you get into the understanding, the double clicking as to why it isn't happening. And that's the beauty of being coached, is you get the safe environment to open up. And that's when the fears, the insecurities come up, but they're real and we've all got them. And coaching is a safe place to be able to have those conversations.
I love that courage is a part of your program. It's like, because yes, it is courageous to just get out there and want to. Do you want to shine, or do you want to just really contribute? You know, I don't know what it is, but it all takes courage, I think, and depending on how much you want to go, you know?
You know, it reminds me of a couple of things here on your wonderful cards that I picked out. Trust, one of the ways to think of trust, and there are many different ways that we think of trust when we work with leaders and teams.
Just trust.
Enjoy the visual there.
Yes,
Patrick Lencioni talks about, and that's one of the programs we do, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, about trust being vulnerability. And the leader has to go first. So that means the leader doesn't have to have all the answers.
Right.
Whereas a lot of leaders think they do, and they start to squash their teams, or no leader has all the answers in the real world, right? That's why you've got a team.
Exactly. And
right?
I don't think you should. I think you should always be in a state of learning, you know.
So I think that's a piece of it. Do I have all the answers now? It's okay not to. And the reason vulnerability trust is so valuable is, if I don't seem superhuman to you, if I seem like a human being and we work together, we can relate more to it. If you seem superhuman, I might be scared to come to you if I don't know, because then I'm going to look a bit of a fool in my head coming to you because you're so amazing. So having a leader that feels human, the humanity of leadership, that can really relate and be relatable is important. But for people to go from feeling they have to have all the answers to it's okay to be a bit vulnerable, still very capable, but a little vulnerable. saying, I'm sorry I messed up, or I don't have the answers, or I'm stuck, I need your help, that takes courage.
Exactly.
Right? So all of this is connected.
And it's a bonding thing. It's like, oh, it's a human. It's not this
Humanity
thing
of
that
leadership.
this thing that I've created. This is my boss, and he will know if I don't know. Yeah.
And that's what we find with our Leader as Great Coach program. If the leader becomes a coach, and we have taught them how to become a coach, and the experiential blended journey of really practicing to become a good coach in a corporate world, if that happens, trust is still very centric. You need trust with your employees to be able to coach them, but also coaching them builds trust. So trust goes up if you coach, and you coach effectively. And so you start to do that, and your employees are less reliant on you giving them the answers. You're empowering them to think for themselves. Right? So you're less in the weeds and can do what leaders need to do, which might include more coaching. And at the same time, they're willing to come to you when they messed up or there's a risk, because you've built that high trust, and they know you've got your back. Or you've got their back.
You've got their back,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all interconnected, and it works beautifully in the essence of coaching.
I noticed that you paired trust with judgment.
Yes.
What's that mean?
Yeah, I think judgment, good judgment, and turning off judgment is something that I've been able, for me personally, to think about more over the last few years. We all love to judge.
And we're so good at it.
Right. There's some great Brené Brown videos on YouTube about judgment and blame and stuff, and you watch and you're like, oh my goodness, that's me. So it's really because of the work I do, it's top of my radar. And what we talk about in coaching is, let's say you do something and it goes wrong. I might straight away think why you did it and what happened, and I've got this whole judgment around it that I've already had my opinion. And what we've learned in neuroscience is those assumptions and opinions cause all lots of conflict, right? And if I go to you with that judgment hat on, you're pretty quickly, you're built to defend yourself.
You're going to be in defense mode,
right?
absolutely.
You're going to be in defense mode.
Yeah.
So we want to turn judgment off. Think of it as a switch in our head. I get to choose, turn judgment off, be curious. I heard this happened. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, how did that happen? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you need me to know? Let's double click and go a little deeper to really find out reality instead of assumptions, and that builds trust. Hence, the two connected.
Okay, all right. What else? Do you want to deal with any other cards that we have here?
Yeah, one thing that we see a lot, probably more in executive coaching, is the lack of clarity for leaders. It might show up in the form of, okay, so what does your leader, and this might be coaching executives, what does your leader expect of you? If I was to sit with them and ask them a question, what are your top 3 expectations of you in the next 6 months? What would they say? There's not always a clarity. If I ask, well, what type of consistent feedback are you getting? Well, I'm hearing this, and what does that mean for you? I don't know. Right? So I think part of my coaching
and I'm
style.
afraid to ask.
So this is where the fear is sort of right next to it, right?
Yeah, she had fear. Nobody ever chooses the fear card. Jane did.
Yeah, when I actually saw the picture, I'm like, oh, that's a bit scary to choose.
Yeah, I'm telling her she chose some very strong cards here that most people stay away from. And this is the clarity, just tuning in. But yeah, the fear, it's like, sometimes you don't want to know, like, oh.
Right, and so we do a lot of workshops, and it can be in coaching as well, on providing meaningful feedback, as well as receiving feedback that's meaningful. And if it's not, how to get clarity around, for example, it might sound like you make a statement of where you want me to get better, and that's your way of giving feedback, and I'm not sure what that means, so I might ask something like, so if I did that, moving forward, what would you say?
Ah, okay.
And that allows the employee to get more clarity from their leader and make it a little more concrete. So it can be simple things like that when we're coaching, leaders get stuck, and then we'll coach them to come up with solutions where they can get clarity when receiving feedback, but also get more effective in providing meaningful feedback for their teams. And so that's why I match clarity with alignment, because when we are aligned around what's expected and you are giving me meaningful feedback that is practical, real time, and I can use, then we can align our business goals and move forward.
Fantastic. What I find, intuition with fear, what does that mean?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I don't think so much it's with fear. I matched it with opportunities, but I think there is a connection.
Okay.
So I think I've been practicing yoga since I was pregnant, so 18 years ago. And I practiced it initially for the physical health side of it. But I've become, and I went through the yoga teacher training and stuff, not to teach, just to learn more. And I've learned more about the intuitive mind-body, listening to what your body's telling you, not just physically, but what is your gut telling you, what is your heart telling you, and all the work we do at Churchill on conversational intelligence to help leaders and build trust and be more effective teams has also taught us that we don't just have this brain, we have this brain and we have this brain.
Right.
And our gut feel that we get, which we think of as intuition, is actually sending chemical signals to our brain. So it is another brain. So I think what I've been practicing as an individual through meditation, through mindfulness, is listening, quietening my mind from the busyness and crazy world I choose to live, to really listen what it's telling me. And I've had these aha moments that I'm like, whoa, this is magic, or whoa. But then you listen to it and you implement that intuition, what you've heard, and it works. So I matched it with opportunities to say, I probably miss opportunities because I'm not listening to my gut. In terms of opportunities, decisions I need to make, or opportunities I'm blind to because my eyes aren't wide open, like I'm not using my third eye in the moment. But if I slow down, use more mindfulness and be very present, I pick up on things that I never used to pick up on. And mindfulness now is a big deal in the executive coaching world. We have coaches that do mindfulness workshops, series of workshops, how to use mindfulness to make decisions, how to use mindfulness to coach, how to use mindfulness to build great teams. And it is really, really effective, but there's so much brain science to prove why it's effective, which is pretty cool, particularly for scientists and tech people that want the facts.
Yes, they want to know, how does this all work? I fear that I out-logic my instincts. Sometimes it's like, oh, but then I start rationalizing, and then I lose the whole message, and it's like, well, see, you were right. So you kind of justify what you're doing.
We get addicted to being right.
Exactly.
Yep, that's one of the blind spots in conversational intelligence.
It's like, well, no, I want to be right. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I really do, because that's when you're really creative. We only have less than a minute, actually, believe it or not.
Whoa,
I know. So if they go to Churchill Leadership Group, I noticed there's some free things on there. What are they going to find there? Besides you and 79 other people.
Right, you'll see a selection of our coaches. I think about half of them are on the website. You'll find out more about the services that we do. You'll find plenty of resources, videos, blogs, but also how to contact us. And so if you're a corporate leader and need help, you can have 30 minutes with me where we help you go deeper to understand your need and how we can help you.
Fantastic. And there are some free resources on there too, so click on that. I always click on the free stuff. So.
Free's always good.
Yes, it is.
Thanks,
Jayne
Laurie.
Jenkins, I am so thrilled that you shared your New York City trip so quickly with the coaching game, and I'll invite you to come back anytime. It's been fascinating.
Thank you.
You
Hope
so
that helped.
much. It did.
Thanks.